Hello, all my beautiful people who may watch this later. I'm just going to put our little topic in the chat. Hey, Cardell, how are you? Hi, Bianca. Thank you for joining. Hi, Jason Jim, how are you? Thank you all for joining me on this live. So I'm trying to get this camera together, y'all. It's been giving me problems. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see me without problems. Okay. Here we go. So hello, how are you? Thank you guys so much for joining. I have a very, very, very special guest today. My entrepreneur and my author brother. His name is Cardell Sims. So I just want to do a little introduction of me for everyone who's new, who may not know me. Hey Sasha, how are you? So my name is Tanisha Johnson, aka TJ Self Care. I'm the founder of TJ Self Care, and I'm your codependency expert. I'm the first-time author of the book entitled When Depression and Anxiety Have a Voice, and I'm also your codependency expert. So today I like to always do, I like to go live with my author brother and sisters, because being an author is hard work, it's challenging, it takes a lot of dedication and commitment to decide that you're going to write a book. And it takes even more commitment when you are going to write a story that is about your own life. And today we are going to be joined by my beautiful brother Cardell Sims. He has wrote like at least 3 or 4 books. He is an amazing author and speaker, motivational speaker. Some of you may already be following him, or you may know him. Him and I are going to tackle a topic that I feel is very important: how codependency can ruin relationships. So I love the fact that many of you guys who are joining me right now are women. I want to say thank you for your time. And also, Cardell is going to give us some gems that we can use, to really better understand how to truly support someone. So without further ado, I am going to request so he can join us and also share his story with you guys. So let's wait on Instagram. Here we go. Hey, Cardell, how you doing?
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How's everything going?
Things are going pretty good, pretty good. I mean, this working from home, I think we all trying to make it work. I don't know how many of you guys working from home too, but I am trying to make it work to the best of my ability.
Oh yeah, it's a hassle. It's a huge thing to tackle.
It is. Well, Cardell, I try my best to give you I feel like the intro that you deserve, but I also want you to share, with us about who you are and like your services and your food.
Man, I appreciate for you having me on. The intro was great. I loved it. I I'm Cardell Sims, as you know. I mean, for those you don't know, Tanisha knows, but those you don't know, my story is, I grew up in a impoverished neighborhood. Mother was on drugs, father wasn't anywhere around. So I learned how to hustle at an early age, and I adapted this mindset that I was a product of my environment. That mindset led me to foster homes, detention centers, and prisons. So my last prison bid was a federal prison bid, and I just realized that something had to change. And something had to change was my beliefs, my values, basically what I value really. And I started expecting something for myself. So once I started doing that, I started putting a plan together and preparing for whenever I get released to basically change my life around and follow these steps. And so once I got out, I just had my dreams, my goals, and my plans. That's the only thing I had, and they was in the big legal notebook. That's all I had. And when I got out, I got a job, and then I started taking life coaching classes. Ended up becoming a master certified empowerment life coach. Started throwing my own seminars, selling books. Started writing books, T-shirts, and everything. And I eventually, now what I do now is reentry coaching. I mentor and coach those getting out of prison, and with the steps and workshops that I provide, so that they can be successful. And successful, in my term, is never returning back to prison.
Right. I love it. I love it. And thank you to Toya, Erica, any names I may have missed, the people who joined. Thank you guys so much for joining. So Loving Me for Me said amazing. Jazz gave you a hand clap, Cardell.
I
This is
appreciate the love.
So the reason why I wanted to have Cardell join us today is because I feel like Cardell, Cardell, you said something really profound in one of your videos that I watched. Matter of fact, after this, all you guys need to go follow him because Cardell be dropping knowledge in his videos. But you were saying how in these relationships that we get into, we sometimes, like us as women, we want to help, support, our men, incarcerated as well as out. But I love what you said in one of your videos because you said you have to allow that person to grow and you have to allow that man to become a man on his own. Because the more that you do for him, the more he's now not stepping into the manhood that he lost when he went to prison. So it's like if somebody goes to prison 22 years old and then they come out 35, it's like they're coming out 35 with that same mentality because they haven't been able to, experience life, learn lessons, and all that. And so when we continue to coddle them, that really prevents him from growing and being the man that you want him to be. I just thought, you probably don't even remember because it was a few weeks ago, but it just really gave me an idea. And I was like, me and Cardell need to go live together, so you can say it better because you are a man.
Right.
You can say it better than me. But I feel like that is what gets a lot of us as people pleasers, as codependent women. I feel like there's a thin line between support and enabling. And I think sometimes because so many of our, especially men of color, are unable to get jobs because of discrimination or because of their background, sometimes it does, make us feel like, well, I have to do this for him because he doesn't have the resources,
Right.
versus trying to support and finding the resources. We just start doing more, which burns us out and causes the agitation.
Yeah, true indeed. One of the guys that I mentor coming out, and just like I said in that video, you should not be focused in on a relationship unless you was already in a relationship prior to going to prison, and that relationship has held up throughout the whole prison bid, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 5, 10, 15. I know some people out there saying, hold up, I'm not going to wait no 5, 10, 15 years. But it's actually some people that be in relationships for that amount of time and they actually make it through that prison bid and they come out, and they both grown through that prison bid. But I always recommend to take about a year before you get in a relationship, just because on that fact, you need to build up something for yourself before you get out and jump into a relationship. Because for one, relationship is demanding, not necessarily demanding on a bad scale, but it is demanding as far as spending time, getting to know each other and things like that. It takes something to build a relationship.
Yeah.
And when you first come out of prison, you necessarily don't have that time allotted to fulfill for that relationship. And so what happens is a lot of guys get in relationships while in prison or as soon as they get out on based on what we're talking about, codependency. someone that they can rely on. Like when you locked up, you ain't, if you don't have, it just happens. Guys get locked up and they reaching out to every female that they know. They find that telling they celly to hook them up with females on the fact of codependency because they really need them, for money, visits, and it becomes a usage thing. So when they get out and they go to that person, it's not built on something that's solid. Right. And it's been a codependency relationship. I'm relying on you for this. I'm relying on you for that. So two things come out of it. One is, what happens when I don't need you anymore?
Oh, wow. I didn't think about it. Yeah.
You see, what happens when I don't need to rely on you anymore? Now that I'm out, I build some stuff up. I done got my own. I'm coming into my own. I don't need what you've been giving me, what you've been helping me with anymore. And our relationship was based on me relying on you. That was it. It wasn't no foundation to it but that. So what happens once I come into my own? The flip side of that is the person who's doing everything. What happens when you're tired of doing and you want to balance?
Yeah. Facts.
You see what I'm saying? What happens when you want to balance? And so that's the thing about codependency, is because somebody's in codependency relationship, somebody's relying on the other heavily.
Right.
And there's some people that want to do and help, but it also comes a time where they will get to a point where I'm doing, helping, but I'm not getting, it's not balancing out.
Right. When
am I going to, when am I going to get the help? When is something going to be done for me? And they just like, yeah, exactly. Jazz, just like that. They get burnt out. They help someone, they get burnt out.
Yep.
And that's why I tell my clients, when you come out of prison, don't focus in on relationship unless you was already in a relationship prior to you going to prison, because you're not going to have the time for that. And the honest God truth, I just got to put it out there. Most of the guys that get locked up in prison, their relationship was rocky anyway. And the person they dealing with, you liable to go back getting out of prison, trying to be in a relationship, because the people that you choose to be in a relationship, you didn't really do a good examination. So you liable to get into it, have some scuffles, they call you PO, you're going to get sent back. I mean, that's just how it goes. You didn't examine the person good enough, and you might not, that you do something they don't like, and now they in return, they call you PO, and now you sit back. And because that's another thing. If you go into a relationship where you're relying on someone, they may feel that you might have to do everything just because they're the one that's providing. You have to do everything that they want you to do. And as soon as you don't do it, then what?
Right. That's right. Yeah. And the relationship more than likely is going to come to an end, or, and then you feel like all that time that you invested, supporting that person, being committed to that person, even when they were, incarcerated, like many of us as women, we still try to be committed, not dating, right, whatever, not all of us, but,
some do though.
Majority of us really remain faithful even then. And it's like, to have all of that and then disappear. Yeah, that's a lot. That's heavy.
Yeah, that causes a lot of hurt. And there's nothing worse than putting a lot of time, effort, and you are really sincere and honest about it, and then put so much time in, and then that person's gone. They just up and just drop it or just leave the relationship. I mean, you see the videos, like the one lady caught her husband cheating, and she's like, I put 17 years in this. She ran him over with the car, and like time, you can't get time back. That's a lot of hurt. And the time that people put in, you cannot get that back. Money, things that you give, you can get that back. That'll come back. Time, you cannot get that time back.
You can.
And so what I usually suggest, like with me, when I got in a relationship, for one, I knew the person that I was in. We had been in a relationship prior. We had known each other about like 17 years. But my street activity and things that I value wasn't aligned with what she really wanted. And so she stepped away from being in a relationship, which all right, because I was in the street life, and I'm going in and out of, who wants to be with somebody in the street life going in and out of prison? Very much understandable. But in between them times of me doing prison time and her living her life, and we both was growing. And it brought us back together once I got out. But it was on an interdependent relationship.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have to compromise my values. She didn't have to compromise her values. She could be who she was. I can be who I am. Not saying that everything's going to be 100% good. It's going to be problems, but we're able to express how we feel about the problems and come with a conclusion. Even if it takes some days where we might not say nothing to each other for a day or two, till we figure it out. I mean, that's just part of it, But instead of it being a codependent relationship, it became an interdependent relationship, and the support was there, And sometimes, if you looking in a relationship as support, if you have provided money or something for someone, then you doesn't need to be in a relationship. Support can come through like communication, advice, things like that nature. So when I was starting doing my business, the support on that end was, I think you might want to try it this way, or do it this way, or some things I might not have had when I didn't think of when I was hosting my seminars. And she'd come and, I got these folders. I think you should have folders with your logo on them, with the paperwork, little things like that. Right. And it goes back and forth. Like even now, she's starting a cheesecake company. So my support ain't to go out and get the materials. My support is just simply asking anything that you need me to do that I can help you with. If she say just stay out the way, I'm gonna get out the way.
Right.
But
that communication is key.
Exactly. Yeah. And what happens is a lot of people don't communicate in a codependent relationship. The communication is, can you get me this, or can you do this for me? Right. Or people just actually just do it. And with men, especially with men, sometimes a woman can do things that she's doing for a man, but if her man is used to, like with me, I was used to being in the streets, getting it on my own. You know what I'm saying? Being the breadwinner and providing for other people. So with the men like that, sometimes when you can, as a woman, when you could continually do, it might make a man feel that he can't do for himself when he's in a certain situation. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, I've seen a lot of people even I fell a victim of that, and going back to the streets when I got out of prison, because people was doing for me, and I was usually known to do for myself, that it was like, a pride thing, like, y'all trying to say I can't do for myself, or I feel like, I couldn't do for myself. And that's a boundary that some women have to watch out of doing for their man, because men really like to be the one that like to do. They like to be in the position to where they can do whenever they want to do.
Right.
So, but it's also I can't put it on the women, because it's also on the men to have to check their ego. See, it's hard for a man to check their ego. I mean, it's honest to God. It's hard for men to check their ego. I don't know I don't know what it is, but it's hard for men to check their ego. But if you got a man that has an ego problem in a codependent relationship, he's going to find his way up out of there, because he's going to have a sense of feeling that man, I can't provide for myself. I got to rely on this woman, you know what I'm saying, to do this. I got to use her car. I got to, and things like that. And so they're going to find their way about it on the fact that their ego is telling them that they're less than nothing because they are relying on someone.
Right, that's real. And hey, Ashley, thank you for joining.
Hey, yes.
And I love everything you're saying, and I can tell by the comments that we all are enjoying it. And you guys, if you have questions, please put them in the comments. We are viewing the comments, but I love what you said, and like one thing that it made me reflect about is I know that because I'm a recovering codependent. It's been like 6 years now that I've been in recovery for codependency. And that was similar to my situation. And
Right,
maybe many of you guys here, that was my situation where I was dating this guy or whatever, and we were together, and he did end up like going to prison, and then he got out. Well, no, he didn't go to prison. He went to jail. He went to jail, and then he got out, and then I was trying to make it work, but I found that because I'm a social worker, in my 9 to 5 job, and I felt
right.
like I was a social worker at home too. Because now I'm trying to look up all this stuff that I had never heard of, like, and even when he was in jail, just the whole experience, you know what I'm saying? Like, and y'all put sevens in the chat if you ever been there, but it's like, I didn't know the process of putting money on books. Like, when he was calling me, he was like, "Man, I need this and I need that," and I'm like, "Okay, well, do I send it to you?" And he like, "Nah, you can't send me nothing, but you can go put money on my books." And I was like, oh, "Okay," and so I felt hella crazy that day because I'm going down to the jail and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm trying to put money on so and so's books," and I had cash. They was like, "It's
Right.
credit card only." And I'm like, "Oh, credit card. Like, I don't want that to come back on me." So, I'm trying to figure out another way. I'm like, "Wait a minute. I don't want nothing swiping on my card and saying Denisha Johnson, city county jail." Like, wait a minute. I'm
Right.
trying to keep this job. Like, I was like, I can't be swiping stuff.
Oh, I can't put no cash.
No, they told me I had to use debit card.
It
And
was
so
the credit, yeah.
it was a whole nother experience, and I was much younger too. I was like 25. It was a whole nother experience for me. But I was willing to do it because I didn't see the value in me. I felt like this man who, pretty much I had met like on the streets because I grew up in the
Right.
hood too. But it's like he lived in the projects, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, we both lived in the projects technically, but it's like this guy that just in passing asked me for my phone number. He was giving me attention. Me not really seeing the value in who I am, I just felt like, okay, well, if he in jail, then I'm in jail too somewhere. It's like, I'm
Right.
committed no matter what. And when he got out, it was like you said, it was a whole new leaf. It's like after I supported him, like helped him like get his record clean and all that. I used to be researching and stuff, all these programs and stuff for him to go through and get like expungements and all that. I didn't know what none of this stuff was, Cardell. None of it.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
I
you was out there, putting that work in for him.
right. I was doing it. And so after I did all the work and he got the help, about 2, 3 months later, he moved on to another relationship. And looking back in the moment, I was in the victim role. I was saying, I did all this for him. I let him stay with me, so and so and so and so. Then he just leave me. But like looking at it now from a more healed place, it's exactly what you said. It's like he was a go-getter type of man, which I feel like every man has that type of ego in him. I think that for me personally, I just feel like that's an innate thing placed in
Right.
men by God. Like men just have the desire to do, even if it does look like you know, asking resources from multiple women, that's still a skill that you have to acquire and build and keep everybody happy in the process. You know,
Right. Yeah,
I feel
you gotta have skills to be a player, huh?
and I feel like even with being a player, that's still that man having that ego, that drive. Like I am going to do this for myself, even if it's at the expense of these other women, you know. Um, so yeah, I just mainly wanted you to come talk to us because I feel like so many people, are in these relationships similar to the one I was in years ago, thank God.
Right.
Um, and I feel like sometimes just certain things come better from a man. So I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Somebody had a comment. Okay, Nikki 80s baby said, I've been there. We had a baby, told him that I was going to see other people because he had 7 years left. When I met him, came home and said I cheated on him and he left. Now we got a child and we can't even it must have got cut off. Um, Nikki, your question got cut off, but I think I got the basis of it. You were just sharing with us your experience of being with someone who was incarcerated, and it sounds like you guys had a baby together, and then when he got out, um, he kind of blamed you of cheating with him and all that, and so the relationship ended. So it goes
Yeah, I
back.
think I can see how this. I think I can see how this went. You know, he had 7 years to go. She told me, "Hey, I'm gonna have to see other people," and rightfully so. And no, this is a lot of arguments that people have. Uh, if somebody get locked up due to time, should the woman be faithful or the man be faithful? Or, I think it. I mean, it all. I mean, it depends on the person in the relationship that you have. A lot of people that get in the relationship and somebody goes to jail or to prison, a lot of times that relationship isn't built on anything. So as soon as that person goes to prison, they have the intentions of trying to make it work. But in the reality of it, their relationship might not have been a good relationship anyway. So with that person getting incarcerated, that might have been like a breath of fresh air happening. Like God done sent me a sign. You know what I'm saying? I mean, prime example. I have a cousin. Her man just got out the feds. Soon as she sent him, the reason why he went to the feds was because of her. So this I say the crazy part. So he gets out, they get to messing around with each other. The same person that sent it to the feds, and this happens with a lot of people. They get out, he gets out, they get together and have a baby. They don't be in a relationship. They just have to have a baby together. But he became one of them parents where he wants the son all the time, and he's aggressive and abusive, and he sometimes he takes the son and don't want to bring him back and stuff like that. But he was still in the streets, and he got caught up in some things. Feds came and picked him up again. To her, that was a blessing for her. So sometimes when you're in a relationship and some things happen that may seem like it's bad, it might be that blessing for you to be able to get away and grow and see that the role that you're playing and challenge what you value and what are your values. It's just like what I talk about in my book. That's one thing I talk about in my book was prioritizing what you value and then aligning what you value with your values. And then that way you can be of value. Because if you allow something to impact you negatively, mentally, and take energy from you, you are an inmate to that person, that situation, that circumstances, or whatever. And a lot of times, the majority of times, it's a relationship. A lot of people are inmates to their relationship because of a certain belief that they have about themselves or about the relationship. I believe that this relationship is going to work. After a few years, you might want to reconsider that. And the reason why they had that belief because they don't see the value in self and what they value. Like with me, when I was in the streets, what I valued was street stuff. I valued it to the T. I valued the drugs, the guns, the hustling, the beefs, everything. I valued the gang life, the street life. I was in a gang, part of a gang and everything. That's what I valued. I gave it my all.
Right.
And I had certain values that were good, but because they were what I aligned them with was bad, I I end up like, okay, I had good value. I was loyal. That's a good value trait to have, being loyal, being dedicated, persistent, consistent. But what I was gearing my values towards, the things what I value wasn't good. So I was dead. I was loyal to the game. I'm going to ride for you. I'm going to shoot outs, whatever you need, beef, whatever. I'm there. You know what I'm saying? I was loyal. I was dedicated to the grind. I'm out there every day hustling, getting money every day. That's consistency and persistence. I had good values. It's just that I aligned them, the things that I value wasn't good. So I had to really, while I was in prison, I had to be like, I had to realign what I value. God, family, myself. I always tell people I had to value myself. Before I could value God, family, I had to value myself first. Because if I didn't value myself, I'm not going to value, I have no understanding of God. I'm definitely not going to value my family, anything else after that. Value my freedom or anything. So once I prioritize what I value, like sometimes in a relationship, you have to prioritize what you value. Do I value myself over this relationship? Or do I value the relationship first? If I value the relationship first, why do I value this relationship? Especially if deep inside you know it's unhealthy. That's what you need to ask. Why do I put that relationship in front of me? And in codependency, a lot of times that's what we do. We put the relationship over us as the individual.
Right, right. And I can answer that question. It's because the codependence, we don't understand our own value. Our value is based on what we can do for other people. So if another person is not there to care for, then it's like, well, who am I? We don't know ourselves outside of,
Right.
you know.
Exactly. And so with having that value, having that feeling that way, is that a belief that you have? Like I believe that unless I help someone, I'm not of value. That's a belief that I have.
That's a core belief. Yeah.
Yes. And so you have to challenge your beliefs. Another thing I talk about in my book, you have to challenge your beliefs. Like belief is perhaps what we think is the truth. So it don't mean it's the truth or it holds any merit. It's just what we think the truth. So what I'm thinking is, I think unless I help somebody, I won't be of value. That's really not the truth. It's just what I think is the truth. It's my belief. So now we have the transition from belief into faith. Faith is what we know to be the truth. And what we know to be the truth is that you are of value even if you're not helping somebody.
Right.
You just have to break that belief.
Right.
Now, it sounds easy in words as I'm saying it, but that's a hard thing to do, is to break a core belief. Like I always believed that I was a product of my environment until I actually looked around and seen people that grew up in the same environment that I did, that didn't sell drugs, didn't gang bang, didn't do any illegal activities to make something of themselves. They got an education, they worked hard, they moved out the environment, and they became something. So once I really start focusing on them type of people and what they was doing, I knew faith. I knew that I wasn't a product of my environment because these people wasn't. I just had to take the principles that they was using and apply them to myself instead of giving myself an excuse. I'm a product of my environment, so I'm just gonna get in the streets and continue to stay in the streets.
Right.
That's the core belief. You got to challenge. People have to challenge that core belief that leads them to codependency. The thought that says, I am not of value unless I help somebody.
Right. You really do. You do. And I want to make sure so quirky girl wellness, you may have had to step out, but if you're still here, so she said, my father noticed a lot of the new generation are caring for their men and hand holding. Why do you all think think that is. Um, I think a lot of women today don't know their value, you know, and I feel like when you combine that with being in a relationship with a partner who, because two things happen. Sometimes even without the man being incarcerated, when you get into relationships with narcissistic people, and particularly men, that really, that man can kind of just spiral into your whole, all aspects of your life, like a tornado just coming down on you. And and your whole being is now focused on caring for him, making sure he's okay. Doing, it's like your whole, and I'm saying this from experience as well, like your whole day is invested and wrapped around what that man needs. And I think many of us, we lose our identity in relationships that way because we don't see our own value. So we feel like supporting him or helping him in whatever capacity is what we should be doing. And then you're thinking that when you do this, this man is now going to love you and be committed to you. He's going to see what a great partner you are. And then he's going to be loving you just how you're loving him. But sometimes what we fail to see is either that man is not invested in a relationship like you are, or he doesn't even have the emotional and mental capacity, you know, to be able to do it. I mean so that's what I think, you know. But Cardell, what are your thoughts too?
I mean, I think that nature, it's a woman's nature to be caring. It's, I mean, even if you're not a mother or you're a mother, it's, you have a motherly nature to care for people, to, you know what I'm saying, to help people, you know, hand holding, however you want to call it. It's your nature. The thing is, sometimes it's hard to really, if you're a young woman or a woman that hasn't had a true man, a male figure in their life growing up, you wouldn't understand what to expect from a young male as a man.
Right. Sasha just
To
too. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
to be a man. You know what I'm saying? Because you never, that's never been, that picture never been painted. You never seen it. Now, if you had a father in your life and he was doing what men do, then you would know, okay, hold on, my father didn't do it like that. Nah, that ain't, you know, you able to decipher and you able to see things that, like, okay, nah, that ain't it. Warning signs like, okay, yeah, nah, I don't remember this going on. My father didn't teach me this. My daddy didn't teach me this. But if you don't have that, you have to go through the trials and tribulations of trying to figure out uh, what's a man. You know what I'm saying? What's the qualities of a man? And so and the men, it's the same way. A lot of men that they grow up with their fathers around, they don't understand the qualities of what it takes to be a man. They don't have no father figures. They don't have no mentors. And the mentors that they had in the street wise, they didn't teaching them. Oh, this is being a man. They feel like a man's only role was to provide. That's what some young men think. Your only role to be a man, all you have to do is provide. And no, it takes more than that. You know what I'm saying? It takes more than just providing. And so some young males grow up and think, if I provide, then I'm able to go out and cheat and do whatever I want to do, and you can't say nothing because I'm providing. No, it's more to that than being a man. So I think the reason why women are hand holding a lot of men in this generation, because these young males didn't have or don't have the father figures or the right mentors to teach them how to be a man. And so they just doing what they just doing what their nature does, hand holding and carrying. Are they wrong? No. You know, that's their nature. That's the nature that you want to have. It's just the fact is they don't, the men don't know how to be a man, and the women don't know what to expect from him being a man, because they most likely, neither one of them have father figures to set that standard.
Right. That's true. And somebody used this question button. This is my first time, y'all. So I'm trying to. Oh, okay. So what are the millennials taking care of? Why are there millennials taking care of their men nowadays more than the older generation? Okay, we touched on that a little bit, but I think it's mainly because of what Cardell just spoke of, that, especially millennials, many millennials didn't grow up with fathers. There's a lot of, I remember reading an article that said there are now more than 55% of households in the U.S. are single parent homes. So
Yes.
it's like many of us are not growing up, with that foundation. Like Cardell said, I remember Sasha's Rising, she also made a comment about it. So we don't even know what it looks like to have that male figure in the home. And then also I think a lot of other things I see is people who have their dad in the home, either the dad is not emotionally invested, you know, into the child. And so even though he's there, you're still not seeing an example of good communication and support, and what that looks like. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And
What
like I said, I think it's just the nature of a woman. It's just the nature to take care, And so then when you look at what's projected right now of young black males or black males, period. I mean, even all around the board, black men and women, but you see it more with black males. The killing of black males, the beatings, the arrests. So it's like the women are like, we have to protect and care for them. Like we got to do something. Because it's the nature.
Yeah, it really is. You're right. It is. It's the nature of it. Ricardo, I just appreciate your time today. Thank everyone who came on, for everyone who was able to stay the whole time. Thank you. So, Cardell, please tell us, any workshops you have coming up. Please tell us a little bit about where we can find your book, um, and all of that. So now my book, I'm still trying to finish this one.
The hustle, attitude, vision, and education.
Yeah. um, the keys to success. But Cardell has another book out now called Inmate to Inspiration that is powerful, that I'm going to make sure I get a copy of. So Cardell, please tell us a little bit about your book and any workshops you have coming up.
Right. So yeah, my book, Inmate to Inspiration, is just basically my life stories. Uh, Everything that I've been through from the streets, gangs, foster homes, prison, not just prison one time, prison on several occasions, just stories and everything about my life and it's broken down on how I had to challenge my beliefs, prioritize what I values, and raise expectations for myself. Also in the book is we also talk about my theory, the hustle, attitude, vision, and education. We talk about that some as well. You can find the book on my website. Go to my website, CardellSims.com. If you don't go there, you can get the book on Amazon. Right now, I'm just building up a lot of reentry. I got reentry groups. So if you know someone that's been to prison or on their way home and you want to know more information about them making a successful transition and successful reentry or building mentors, I have a virtual reentry support group on Thursday nights via Zoom. Click the link in my bio on Instagram. And I also have a reentry support group on Facebook that you can join. Both of these things doesn't cost anything. It ain't no you got to be a part of this to be a part of that. No, you can join either one. It doesn't matter. We're here to help. And my next biggest thing that I'm doing would be in the end of January, the 28th, 29th. I'm doing the Incarceration to Inspiration Virtual Summit. Got a host of speakers that was incarcerated. They came out. They built businesses. So we're gonna make that happen. And I started my podcast, so I had my first podcast the other day, the Reentry Journey. So just make sure you just tune in, follow me on Instagram, and you can see everything that I'm doing. You click the link in my bio, it shows you everything that I'm doing. I really am glad that you had me on, Tanisha. My book's on the way. It's in transit. I know how that is when you're sending out books and then you're hoping that they be there at a certain time, and then the USPS has them in transit for I don't know how long. But I can't wait to read it. Again, thanks for having me on. Thanks for everybody that tuned in. Any questions, always feel free to reach out to me. You know I'm always here for you.
Well, thank you, Cardell, so much. And again, ladies, gentlemen, I just want you guys to know that you are looking at a man who was incarcerated himself, who is now third time author, mentor, coach, speaker who is out here doing his thing, helping his community, building up other men of color, just doing a phenomenal job. So there is literally no excuse. This is an example of what can be done when somebody is truly invested in themselves and gets the resources for themselves for themselves. Okay.
Yeah, you got to go get it yourself. It ain't gonna come to you. You gotta prepare yourself first. Because like I always tell people, you can get 1,000 resources, but if you ain't ready or prepared for them resources, yourself ain't ready. It don't even matter.
True. Well, thank you, Cardell. Everybody, please follow him. Click his link in his bio. Get yourself a copy of his book. And Cardell, I appreciate you, brother. This was
I
so
appreciate you too.
enlightening, fun, and I think it was a much needed conversation.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right. Bye. And bye, everyone.
Bye.
You guys have a good evening.